So being raised by Leo Marquez was very, very fun, frankly. He was a fun dad, and we were a big family. Family time was essential. That's all we did. That's who we had, as many military families know. When you move to a new base, you've got your brothers and sisters until you have other people. So my parents, mom and dad, were just very, very much creating the nest and creating a home and making sure we all got along. So it was making sure, sometimes you have to make sure your kids get along. And so kindness and friendliness and politeness were a very big part of our upbringing. And the Air Force made it just fun. You know, we were always in a new place, and for some reason, it's just his personality. My dad was very charismatic. Leo Marquez was a guy full of charisma, had a smile on his face until he didn't, and it was a very endearing smile. I think that's what really made him a leader, is that never went away. He was always very enthusiastic, very charismatic, and so he would get us motivated to do just about anything. If there was a nice hill on the base, he would, get us all to charge the hill and climb it and have a great time. So and he used a lot of military kinds of, he led troops, and so we loved it when he would pretend that we were getting marched to bed. First it was brush your teeth, line up, attention, soldier, get over there. And it was just so much fun. He was a fun dad on weekends. He worked hard during the week. So weekdays, we were not the 5 o'clock dinner family. We usually waited for him to come home, and dinner time was loud and fun. And then we got to share our school stories and such. But he always wanted someone to be in charge, and it was just a family joke because they couldn't walk out of the house without saying, well, Dad, who's in charge? And so he would nominate, and of course it was usually my older sister was in charge. But the being his kid was a lot of fun. He was a pancake breakfast maniac, and he would do fun things, put in red dye, green dye, blue dye in the pancakes. So it just made it seem like a giant playground when we were eating on Saturday mornings. So I think if I knew and watched it, which I did, as he matured and grew up and grew in rank, and we were all growing, I saw that always be there. He always had a lot of fun. He always tried to create enthusiasm. He always just got us motivated, and I watched him do it with other people. He was kind and loving, and he showed his care to young airmen in particular and other families. And so I think that trait is what I remember the most and can see it through his final days. He was just a very caring and sincere and charismatic. So that's very important. He was a pilot first. So he was an ROTC graduate from New Mexico State University. This is a small land-grant college. It was not the Air Force Academy, but he was talented. He had very good athletic hand-to-eye coordination, and he got a pilot slot. A dream, right? Everybody wants to be a pilot when they join the Air Force. Everybody. Many people in those days in particular, the thought of flying was something he dreamed of. He was, and I always talk about Kirtland Air Force Base. He was raised on a farm just south of Kirtland Air Force Base, a farmer's son in New Mexico, and they worked, and he saw airplanes, and he was discouraged. He was told by many, oh, you probably would never be that guy. And he wanted to fly, but he was brilliant. He finished every book in the library before college and went, his grades actually weren't that good. We learned later when we saw his transcripts, but he had that charisma and he was very intelligent. So he wanted to be a doctor or a pilot. And the ROTC got a pilot slot, so that's someone's big dream come true. Tragically, he was grounded for medical reasons, but as a kid, this is what my mom did. When he was flying, we all were outside waving up at airplanes. It was so much fun because we were sure he saw us. I'm sure he didn't. But we were waving, there's Dad. It was just a very fun thing. But imagine being grounded from your dream career. And we never really knew. I think that was something my mom and dad kept out of. The drama did not touch us. The next thing we knew, he was off to Chanute and training with maintainers. And he wanted to stay close to airplanes. Even though the big future was missiles, he said, I'm an airplane guy. And he had experience. Another part of his caring nature, he had the experience as a pilot of watching how poorly treated the maintainers were. And he knew he was climbing in the cockpit. Of course he knew the importance of it. And he was always one to walk around the airplane, look closely. Many pilots do that. They've got to trust that the airplane's going to fly. And he did not like the way he saw the maintainers treated. And I think that's a really significant part of what led his future. I mean, he was born to be Leo Marquez, the godfather of maintenance. There's just no question, because I remember even in high school, and we were in Sacramento at the depot, so back in those days, the contractors would come over, the General Dynamics, the guys who built the airplane, and they would be having dinner, and I could hear him. He was lecturing the designers and the manufacturers. He goes, you guys made the worst possible way to get into this engine. You see what my guys have to do? And so he brought them out to airplanes, and he showed them. He said, put these gloves on and try to change that. And so he was adamant about it. And so his love for the maintainers, why is he the godfather? He gave them pride in their profession. He caused them to love what they do. He put pride by creating a badge. He fought for their maintenance badge. That's a whole story in itself. And he went to the chief 4 times before he got that signed. And so the gift, his gift at retirement from the chief was to name the Lt Gen Leo Marques Award at his retirement. And that really changed the vector of his next 20 years, because probably 40 years. He was young, around, and so he personally went to give the General Marquez Award wherever he could. He was always all over the place in the spring at the maintenance award ceremonies, and he just showed that love for the rest of his life and that care. And I do believe, because I see these people today, I'm fortunate to be involved in the Logistics Officers Association and on Air Force bases, and it gave them a future. The young ones don't even know. It's the Marquez Award, and it's great, and they have a badge, but 25 years ago, 30 years ago, it was an amazing thing. And they were amazed. They loved him. They would just follow. You couldn't even catch him in a crowd. He would have just mounds of airmen trying to get his autograph and shake his hand. And it was very special, very special. It's touching, frankly, the fact that he had such an impact. And in fact, there's times when I'm thinking, gosh, someone else really should be getting some credit now. And I do recall an article. I recently was giving remarks at the rededication of Marquez Park at Kirtland Air Force Base, and I was trying to find a theme that wasn't just about what he did 50 years ago. It was a long time ago, and the world has progressed. And I found an article from an interview he had, and he was asked that question, what do you see? And he was just openly proud. He said, those guys are so much better. It's nothing like when I went in there. They're smarter, they're more talented, they train better, they work better, the leaders have better ideas. And so I think that if I were to recognize excellence in that, I would say he started it, but he didn't do it all. He enabled. And I think he looked back this was 25 years ago. He was looking back and saying, you can't even touch him compared to what I was, when I was in. They're so good now. I mean, they're all academy grads, the leaders in the maintenance field. The training is so excellent. They do their jobs. They know their business, and they walk with pride. And surely there's issues in maintenance shops, but it doesn't show. It shows in performance. I mean, aircraft, availability rates are high, as high as they can be. There's issues, of course, but I think that the pride is to see that the legacy is still alive, but really for me, that he got to see it fully enabled, that he got to look back and say, look at this culture. They are amazing. And he can recognize, he knew it. They're smarter, they're better trained. It's an amazing world.